Hey, my name is Ben Fraser. I'm the founder of Ready.Set.Van. We are a custom van conversion shop based here in Trenton, New Jersey. And behind me, I have one of our Highline builds. This was recently completed, and in the next couple days, it's going somewhere pretty special. So I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But this is one of our Highline builds. It is a beautiful home inside. There's a lot of details that I want to talk about in there, kind of give you a little behind the scenes of how that all works. And yeah, let's go check it out. Usually at the start of any van tour, I like to go through the particular use case of the client whose van we just built. We are going to do that, but I'm going to save it for a little bit later. I will say, however, they are planning on taking the van off the pavement a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And they got a set of KO2 tires on here with some Ultra rims, which look fantastic. And that'll give them a little extra grip too. So before we go inside, I want to just take a moment to talk about how sweet this looks from the outside. I just love how inviting it looks, and I just love the lighting, just the whole aesthetic. They went with a maple finish throughout, so it's sort of extra bright inside. Let me show you a couple features over on the exterior of our kitchen cabinet. In particular, this table that folds down. Pretty common to have a table that folds down on a van. People do it a bunch of different ways. They use different materials. When we designed this, I really wanted to make sure that it was designed to last a very long time, and then also designed to be beautiful throughout that whole time. And I'm really happy with what we came up with. One of the things that people tend to do with these tables in particular is they use something called a piano hinge, which is like a hinge that kind of looks like this. And there's a couple things that are kind of problematic about this. One is that there's no way to mount this hinge without all of the hardware being visible. Pretty much every fold down table you look at, you'll see right in there, there's just a piano hinge and all these screws showing. And I just think visually it's, I don't know, subpar, I guess. And you know, the other thing is that these have lots of screws, right? That's the kind of the way these are meant to work. It's lots of tiny little screws. And these are like, you know, like 3/8 of an inch screws. And the idea is that you spread the load across all these tiny little screws. And then it works fine. And for a lid, like the lid of a piano, or even like a benchtop lid or something like that, this works fine. In an application like this, where you've got your tiny little screws going down into a piece of plywood, or heaven forbid, a piece of MDF or something like that, when you're pushing down on this, you're literally just applying pressure in the worst possible direction. So if you're leaning on this table, you're really going to start working those screws loose. And over time, you know, one screw on the end will start to come loose, and then it'll sort of travel down the length of all of these screws. And sooner or later, this thing's going to start to get loose. It's going to start to be floppy. And at that point, even just the regular vibrations of the van driving are going to start making those screws come even more loose. And so I really question how well those piano hinges hold up over time. The other unfortunate thing is that RV manufacturers are kind of known for cutting corners. And you know, this really needs to be made from stainless steel, and all the screws need to be stainless steel because it's on the outside of your van. It's going to get wet a lot, and they're going to rust if they're not made of stainless steel. And the fact is, if your piano hinges were made from stainless steel or they were made from nickel-plated steel, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference until like 6 months later or a year later when you start getting rust all along here. And that's going to be like super frustrating. So I don't love these. I like them for certain applications like lids, but not for something like this that, you know, if you're working on here, you're going to start putting a load on there. So our solution was to use this beefy, this is a stainless steel commercial grade door hinge. So this is like made to hang like literally like a 200-pound steel door, which is, you know, it's overkill. You're the first to admit that. But it's really, really fantastic. The other thing I like about this is the way we ended up mounting, and I'll show you in a second, is all you end up seeing is just this part of the hinge the entire time, which I think is very attractive, totally nice. And then these flanges here, these, you know, the mounting parts on the table there, this is basically slid into the table in that first layer of the wood composite. We have this clamped up inside. So you can't see any of the hardware that's inside the table. And then this end is then slid into the kitchen cabinet, and then there are set screws that go down in through the top. And it's been like a really, really nice design. It's super solid. I think it's very attractive, and it kind of ticks all the boxes. Like, looks great, functions fantastically. And so that's something we've done on any of our vans that have a table folding to the outside. The table is a hardwood center with 3/16 acrylic on top and bottom, and the whole thing's sandwiched up in a big sort of composite mesh. The hardware that this is attached to on the inside there is totally concealed and on the inside. One of these days I'll make a video on how we make this table on our CNC machine. I think it's pretty neat, and I can kind of walk through. There's a lot of steps to it, and I can kind of walk you through that. Also over here we have our little 3D printed light here. This light's super great. It has the lighting element is way up in the top. It's actually the same LED light that we have in our ceilings here, so the color temperature is exactly the same. It's like a little detail that's important to me. I really hate it when color temperature is different across light bulbs. It's right way up inside there, and so what that does, that creates a pretty directional light here on the table, so it's a nice task light. But then it also creates a kind of soft diffuse light around the van, so you can kind of see a little bit around here, but then also you're not going to disturb people with this like really bright, like sometimes we'll put scene lights up on a van, which are great, but they really flood the scene, which is what they're designed to do. This is really designed to kind of create a nice, ambiance and also some functionality here. So been super stoked on that. I spent a little too long doing that design, but I also had a lot of fun doing that. So one other thing up here, so there are magnets behind this block. This is a sort of a magnet knife block, so you can just stick cutlery or knives or any utensils up against there. And then in the table here are magnets as well. So there are corresponding magnets that line up exactly with the magnets up here. So when you close this table, magnets hold it up, which is totally great. To prevent this from going like this, as you're going down the highway, we have a little piece of foam that's on the inside of the slider. When you slide the slider door closed, it just gently pushes on here, and that keeps it sandwiched so you don't have any extra noise. We work really hard to make sure that there are no rattles or squeaks or anything like that in our vans. But I love this table, super great. It's 36 inches off the floor, so it's a really great working height. It also works great. I put my laptop on these all the time, and it works great if you want to do use it as like a stand-up desk. Also over here, so this is our countertop extension for the kitchen. One thing to note here is it's just like beautifully just snug right up against the end of the cabinet, and there's just no gap whatsoever. Again, we avoided the kind of standard hardware that people tend to use, which are those ratcheting folding shelf brackets. Those, number one, they rattle when you drive down the street. There's almost no way to stop it, and they're really loud when you open it up. And then the other thing, when they're collapsed, they're about 1.25 inches thick, so that would push this whole thing out about 1.25 inches, which is just 1.25 inches less that you have getting in and out, but also the whole setup kind of seems sort of clumsy to me. So this is something we've been doing for a while, although now we swapped out the hinges, and basically, so we have 2 more of those same commercial grade hinges that we have over here in the countertop. We can fold this up, and then in the back here we have a 300-pound drawer slide with a 3D printed handle on the end as a support to set the height. This whole thing is like so solid. You could probably sit on this and it would be just fine. I'm not going to try, but I'm pretty sure you could. This is really nice because it's just a really solid platform. The other nice thing is that you can still kind of see clearly through. There aren't like all of this stuff in here. So it's a nice kind of low profile design. I don't know, I love it. And of course, when we fold this down, there's a magnet also that holds this in place here. So that's not going to be swinging around while you're driving. And that also has just been really great. So let's check it out inside. So here we are in the kitchen. The kitchen's nice and big, especially if you have the countertop extension up. You really have a lot of room to spread out. We spent a lot of time on these countertops. There's a whole in-depth finishing process for these where we basically bathe them in this curing oil. And then it's about 20 hours to make one of these countertops, if you can believe it. And that's after it comes off the CNC machine. But the end result is absolutely fantastic. They're just like wonderful to touch, and they're going to last forever because we've soaked so much of this food safe curing oil into all the wood fiber. So it's really, really wonderful. Of course, we recess everything into the countertop, which is just nice. This Rivati sink we've used for years. It's really fantastic. It's just a beautiful stainless sink. It's nice and deep too. It's 15 by 15. So you can actually get pretty sizable pots in here. My whole set of pots in the van fit in there, no problem. And it's great. Of course, this guy comes off. You want to help spraying it down. Some people like these because they can swing them around outside and like shower off outside as well. But we have a shower off the back, so that's not really necessary. Over here, of course, we have our dimmer controls for all the lights in here. Every light in the van is on a dimmer. We have our inverter control. We have our Webasto heater control. We always put this near the bed. It's such a nice thing having this next to the bed because, you know, if this is like, some people mount it up here, it's further away. Some people mount them like on the walls over here. You know, this does have Bluetooth. So of course you just open up your phone, open up the app, and then either turn it on or change the settings and then close all that up. But for me, in the middle of the night, I wake up, I'm like, ooh, it's kind of chilly. I can reach over, I can change the temp, I can turn it on and off without even opening my eyes or like really even waking up. Whereas if I pull my phone out, by the time that's all over, I'm just awake. So anyway, really nice having the Webasto control right here. Of course, we have our induction cooktop. We can do a single, we can do a double. Sometimes it's pretty common for people to do a single and then have an extra portable unit that they could either set up on the table outside or on the extension or here. Well, I have a portable one in my van and I use it outside quite a bit because I prefer to cook outside when I can. Also, if you're noticing that the bed is right next to your giant pot of pasta sauce, what we do is we have a piece of white acrylic that just stuffs down in here and it's a little splash guard and it works great. So there's nothing to worry about there. Below here, we've got this big pantry. This has been really nice. I love this. It's really nice up top here for small items, but anyway, it's been really super. Got another drawer over here for things. All our drawers are on soft close slides. And those soft close slides bring the drawer in and then it makes contact with our electromagnet locking system. So this is, I think, unique to Ready.Set.Van. I don't know anybody else who's done this. Basically, there's our electromagnetic locks behind each drawer, and when the van's on, those engage. Your drawers are totally locked. You can't get them open. When the van's off, they just open and close, you know, like a normal drawer in your home, which is great. No more of those like pushing latch things. You don't have to worry about remembering to make sure you locked all your drawers before you start driving. If you do need to open up this drawer while the car is running, there's a switch here to disengage those locks. The other nice thing about them is if, let's say, you left this open and then you get in the car and you start driving, all you got to do is just like find one of those like sharp left bends and to get this thing to slam shut. As soon as it shuts, the soft close slides are going to pull it into that electromagnet and it will lock, which is super sweet. So this is a relatively new thing for us, but it's been pretty fantastic, and our clients who have it say that it's one of the best features that they weren't expecting because none of them knew that we had developed that. So anyway, that's pretty neat. Oh, we've got one more drawer down below. So under the fridge, we've got a little kick drawer here. So this is a great place to hide, you know, passports, money, drugs, guns, I guess. Usually the guns end up in safes. Yeah, we can put a safe in too, but this is a nice, easy way to hide something. I don't think anybody's ever going to find it unless they're literally on the floor and they notice it. So nice little hidey hole. Of course, we have this really great Dinette fridge. I love this fridge. It's been great. Of course, it has an actual freezer compartment in it, so you can make ice or keep ice, either way. One thing about our kitchens, and this is true for actually all of the kitchens that we make, is that the gray tank is actually built into the kitchen itself, the gray tank for the sink. And the reason we do that is so that this van can truly be a 4-season van. It's kind of embarrassing, but the first couple vans we made, our gray tank was underneath the van. And so the sink plumbing ran down under the van into the gray tank, and that was great. Except that the problem is, even with tank heaters on that tank underneath the van, the pipe going to the tank would freeze. And you know, we had I think he was our second client, picked up a van, super stoked, went up to Vermont to go skiing, and a couple days in, all of a sudden the water is backing up into his sink because the line had froze that was going into the tank underneath the van. And I felt really bad about that because I knew he really wanted to use that for skiing. And so ever since then, we've always put a 10-gallon gray tank in the kitchen so that no matter, you know, how cold it is outside, you can still use your sink as you would want to. Of course, the gray tank for the shower is underneath the van because it has to be, because gravity. And that tank, we've actually found that even in the dead of winter, you know, if you take a hot shower in here, you leave the valve open on that, because it's a lot of hot water flushing through, it goes through real quick, and you can just have it go out on the ground. And so that works out pretty well. So you can even shower, you know, in a quasi 4-season capacity. But with the sink, if it's underneath, because the sink, it's not a lot of hot water going at once, it's like little drips and drabs. Those drips and drabs build up on the inner wall of the cold pipe under your van and eventually seal it shut. Anyway, so if you're, you know, getting a van that you're thinking about using in the winter, make sure that at least your kitchen has a gray tank on the inside. Otherwise, you might run into those kinds of problems. Let's talk a little bit more about the shower. Okay, so here we have a classic Ready.Set.Van shower. You know, the original Highline that we built was the first shower van, really, that we had. Before that, we had the base camper. And when we came out with Highline originally, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make the shower experience and the bathroom experience really as much like your home as possible. One of the things that we were trying to figure out is, you know, just these surfaces inside, because, you know, a lot of people use different materials that I don't love. FRP is a really common one. It's like this flexible ABS plastic. Just feels cheap, I guess. Anyway, you know, eventually I settled on this white acrylic interior, and I love acrylic for a lot of different reasons, but the acrylic is really nice because it's very glossy. It has like a very glass-like appearance to it. It's also great because you can put suction cup hooks and suction cup like shower baskets, like shampoo things. You can really kind of customize it any way you want. One of the things that's really nice about the acrylic is its thermoplasticity. So you can shape and mold acrylic by applying heat and then letting it cool off. And for me, what was really important was that this line right here, you can see that cuts kind of through the middle of the back there. Where that bend is, it was really important to me that we not end up with another seam that ends up getting caulked. Because to me, for a bunch of different reasons, it seems like that would be likely to fail. So I really didn't want to have a seam there. And with acrylic, because of that thermoplasticity, I realized, like, oh, we could build a jig and actually mold this into the shape that we need. And to do that, you know, we needed to be able to basically melt the acrylic in a very, very precise straight line. So we got something called nichrome wire. Nichrome is basically, it's an alloy of nickel and chromium. It's a very high resistance metal, and if you put a bunch of current through it, it gets super hot. Nichrome is what you'd find in a toaster or a heat lamp or maybe a space heater. It's actually what heats like a 3D printer. It's what goes in the print head on there. And in our case, in its sort of wire form, is what we use to create this hot wire to bend the acrylic. And so basically we made a very simple jig where we put this in there. We have the nichrome underneath. We put a bunch of current through there. It gets super hot. It glows red hot. And what's crazy is when it gets that hot, it's actually like 1200 to 1500 degrees hot. Which is nuts. So don't touch it. Don't put your hand in the toaster either. And we have that under the acrylic for a little while. That starts to soften up just along that one line, and we're able to bend the acrylic up. And then we have a set wedge, which has like the exact angle that we want to bend this. And we let it cool down, and it's all set, and it's exactly what we need. And first couple times you do it, it's super fun. It's kind of wild, actually. You can take acrylic, you can put it over that hot wire, get it really soft, and you can actually fold it all the way over on itself. It's totally cool. Anyway, that's a little bit on how we make that. But moving on, in the bottom of this shower, we have our stainless steel shower pan. We use a stainless steel pan for every single one of the showers we do. So it's not like a crappy plastic tub that you're standing in, or a crappy like fiberglass thing. And it's not steel. I've seen some people use steel shower pan product in a couple different occasions, and if a magnet sticks to your shower pan, that means it's made of steel. That means it's gonna rust. Do not do not do that. Anyway, these stainless steel pans are just fantastic. Of course, we put this cedar decking on top, which is super nice. Comes out really easy, so it's easy to clean as well. But it's just nice to have a nice kind of warm wood thing under your feet. These guys chose to get a Trillino toilet in here. The Trillino is super popular. I've never used it myself, but it is a urine separating sort of combo with a trash can for your poop kind of toilet. Anyway, it seems pretty good. It's dead simple. I don't know why it costs like $500, but that's kind of true with all the toilets. So anyway, hopefully I'll do a new toilet video soon. Of course, over here we have our shower mixer. This has a 4-gallon hot water heater on board, which is good for an 8 or 10 minute shower, depending on how you use your water. And then of course we've got our shower head up here. It also has an on-off switch on it, so you can conserve water if you need to. And then of course the sliding nautilus door, which works great. Love that door. Let's go check out this area. All right, and here we are in the dinette area. Right underneath me are 2 drawers. They're pretty big drawers. They also use the electromagnetic lock system that is in our kitchen, which is super, super great. Under this platform right here is a huge drawer. It comes out, I think, 28 inches. It's enormous. That is super. Really, really love that drawer. And above me also are 2 overheads. This one is just for storage, and then the one next to it has a microwave in it. What's nice about being able to put a microwave in the overhead is that you really only use it for a couple minutes here and there, and then you can kind of close the thing and not have to be looking at it all the time. So it's a nice way to do the microwave. Anyway, of course we have this super solid table. This is the same butcher block material that our kitchen countertop is made of, so it matches perfectly. It's really solid, feels really great. I hate those kind of flimsy tables that are very common in RVs and van life in general. This is just a really nice platform. You can kind of spread out. Of course, I love this spot so much because you can sit here, you have windows all in front of you. You have the slider door open over here. You can open up this window. This has a bunch of stops. You can open this one all the way, and you just really kind of feel like you're outside. Even if it's raining, you could be sitting here and still have like tons of airflow. I just absolutely love it. Right above me is also a light for the dinette. It's on a dimmer, of course. And sitting here with this window open and the slider door open in my shop in Trenton, I can still kind of imagine what it's like going to be like in this van, where this van is going, because I think it's going to be extraordinary. So this van in, I think, 2 days from now is going to get picked up by a transporter, and it's going to get taken to the docks. It's going to get loaded on a ship, and it's going to the big island of Hawaii, which sounds fantastic. The owners of this van have a beautiful piece of property where the van is going to live as like a second bedroom for any guests that come and visit. And then they're also going to use the van as they explore and take day trips or multi-day trips around the island, or possibly to other islands as well. Kind of an amazing use case. Kind of jealous. So interestingly, they said that the temperatures there are just kind of perfect all the time. They don't really seem to have any need for bug nets. They don't seem to have a need for air conditioning. I think this is actually the first Highline van that we've built that doesn't have an air conditioner in it, because they were just like, yeah, no, it's perfect. Must be nice. The idea of sitting in this van with this parked up on a bluff over the ocean, which it sounds like that's kind of how it's going to be, with the window open and the slider door open and a breeze coming through and the sound of the ocean, that's like, that sounds amazing. So I'm very, very excited for them. And I'm also, so last night I was joking around with some people and saying how I want to stow away on this when they come and pick it up in 2 days, because I think that would just be so much fun to be in this thing on a ship that's crossing the ocean and going to Hawaii. And like, nobody would know. I could be in here, pack some food away. Probably pretty sure that's probably breaks a lot of laws. But that kind of reminded me of a trip that I took like a year ago. It made me kind of nostalgic about it. This kind of like this one experience that I had that I just was not expecting at all, and it was like so great. And it was this time I was down in North Carolina in the Outer Banks, and if you haven't been to the Outer Banks, go. I hadn't been before, and it was just took my breath away. It's like if you like really pristine wilderness beaches, which I actually didn't even, I'd never really been to a beach that was quite like that. It's just amazing. It's just so peaceful and just incredible. Anyway, but I was waiting in line to board a ferry to go to hop to one of the next islands in the chain down. And as I'm boarding starting to drive onto the ship, there are like 6 possible lanes across the ship. And I'm looking and I'm realizing like, oh, there's a chance I could end up over there next to the railing. And I was just like crossing my fingers. So as I'm starting to roll onto the ferry in my van, the guy points at me and tells me to go down this lane. And next thing you know, I realize that my van is just like right up against the starboard side railing. And I get to park and I open up my slider door and it is the railing and just the water. And it was absolutely amazing. And there was just this beautiful, cool air. It was like late in October. It was really warm, but it was also not super humid. It was a blue sky day and this breeze, and I'm sitting here in my home, like this van that I absolutely love, and right out my slider window is just the ocean going by. It's like absolutely amazing. And I made some fresh guacamole that I'd been planning on making, and I had some chips, and I just sat there eating my guac and chips and just kind of amazed. And I remember specifically thinking like, can life possibly get better than this? And I don't know. And it's funny because I remember all that stuff like so vividly. And when I was thinking about stowing away in this van, it all just like came back. I was like, oh my God, that was just amazing. The whole trip was amazing, but like that, I had no idea that was going to happen. And it was just really special. So yeah, it was really great. So I'm excited for this van to get to Hawaii and for them to take this on all the trips and do all the things with it that they're going to do. It just sounds great. Just met them briefly yesterday. They just seem like really great people. So I don't know. That's all very exciting. Anyway, yeah, sitting here in Hawaii, that sounds amazing. So I'm sure it will be amazing. Let's go check out the bed area. All right, so here we are in the bedroom of the Highline, and the Highline has a full-size mattress, so that means that we've got 74 inches in this direction and 54 inches in that direction. Super comfy. You know, it's an 8-inch foam mattress. Pretty common comment that we get from people after they pick up is that they sleep better in their van than they do at home. That's the case for me. I love sleeping in my van. There's something about it. I love waking up in the morning hearing like the birds, and it's great. I love it. We also do a configuration of the Highline that we call the King Highline, where we use, instead of the standard length chassis, which is what this is a Promaster 159 standard length. Instead of the standard length chassis, we do the 159 extended, which adds about 15 inches to the back of the van, and we use that 15 inches to just extend the bed. And in that configuration, then we end up with an RV Short King mattress, which is quite a bit bigger and quite a bit more deluxe. But a full-size mattress is super comfortable. There's plenty of room for 2 people. It's a full-size mattress is what I have in my van, and it's great. Over here we have some overheads. You know, pretty standard to just pack these full of clothes. Works out well for that. Of course, we have a Max fan right above. Max fan is fantastic and just a staple of van life. So at the head and footboards here, we pad these. So they've got some foam padding behind the fabric. The fabric, of course, is matched to our cushions that are up front, so it all kind of ties together. But this is nice because it's a nice soft thing with the padding that you come in contact with at the head and foot of the bed. So just kind of makes it more comfortable. But otherwise, that's the bed area. It's pretty great. Let's check out the garage. Okay, so here we are in the garage. So there's a lot of space in this garage to put all the stuff that you want to take with you on your trips, inflatable kayaks, coolers, additional refrigerator, you name it, bikes. Oh my God, can't believe I didn't say bikes. Anyway, all kinds of things in here. We have L-track in the floor here, down the sides, basically on all 4 sides. So I'm under my butt right now. That's great for just, you know, tying things down. We put fork mounts into this for a bike. Just creates a lot of flexibility. These guys opted for just an open pass-through, so they can easily get at their garage from the front side. And then maybe, I don't know if they have surfboards or things like that they're thinking about just passing through sometimes and leaving them there. So anyway, we can easily put a door on there. There's kind of a lot of options with that. And over here on the side, we have our electrical cabinet. So our electrical cabinet is filled primarily with Victron components. We use Victron for just about everything. They're a fantastic company. They are based in the Netherlands. They have a long history in the marine space. Fact is, it's like, if you're, if you have a sailboat and you're going out into the ocean and your systems working might be a matter of life or death, you know, you're going to choose carefully. Victron is basically the company in the marine space. And in the RV space, there are a lot of other choices that people can make. A lot of Chinese-made products. Nothing wrong with Chinese-made products, but the quality control and the reliability isn't going to be the same necessarily. Anyway, the Victron components are absolutely fantastic. Back in here, we've got two DC-DC chargers. We've got our solar charge controller. In here, we've got our 3,000 watt inverter charger. That thing is like really the gold standard. It's fantastic. Back in here, we've got our AC breakers and also our DC fuses. And all this stuff in here, pretty much, the client's never really gonna have to go in there and do anything, but it's all easily accessible. All of our cabling is labeled. It's really great. I mentioned earlier that they don't have an air conditioner on top. What's really nice about that is it means we have the extra roof space to double their solar. So they actually have 700 watts on the roof. So the AC unit is usually the biggest draw that anybody has on a van. So eliminating that immediately means that they have less, less demand. But then being able to then double their solar is just fantastic. It's really great. So they have a 400 amp hour battery bank back here. Honestly, I think they'll never have to plug this fan in, and that's great. That's kind of how it should be. So let me show you the plumbing cabinet. So in our plumbing cabinet, we've got a 30-gallon freshwater tank, a 4-gallon hot water heater tank. Obviously our pumps and things like that are in there as well. The entire system is designed to drain out by flipping one switch. So if it is winter and you need to winterize your system, literally flip one switch. There's a whole bunch of electric ball valves that will open up in various places in the system, and the whole thing will drain out by gravity. Filling it up is also super easy. You click onto this connector up here with an adapter to a hose. Click that on, fill it up. It fills up all the way. You do that until water starts splashing out under your van, and it's topped up, which is totally great. So no splashing, no any of that stuff. Down here, of course, we have another shower mixer hooked up to our outdoor shower here. So you have hot and cold shower off the back of your van as well. I want to talk about that shower mixer for a second though, because I think it's kind of a good illustration of the choices you can make when you're designing a van that you're going to sell. Most RV companies and many independent builders use a type of shower mixer that's super common in the RV world. You can get them for like $40. It's like a plastic thing. Usually it's on the outside of an RV. It's like the exterior thing. And it's like a white or black thing that goes inside of the RV with two knobs. And it's all plastic. And the thing with those is that all of the parts inside are made from ABS plastic. And so if you have any water left over when a freezing event occurs, it doesn't even need to be a deep freeze, like just a light freeze. Those plastic parts in the mixing valve, and then also the tubes leading to it, crack incredibly easily. And in fact, if you look on like the reviews of those parts, you'll see that basically people are happy to find the replacement part, but they're always replacing them because they're constantly cracking and leaking, and like it's kind of terrible. And it's just because they're made, they're just not resilient. And so for us, we've always used these shower mixers. So that's what's mounted over there. And there's a huge difference between this and one of those plastic shower mixers. And one of those plastic shower mixers, if your pump is on and your van freezes, doesn't even have to freeze completely, but it freezes enough to crack one of those pieces of plastic, and it'll pump out into your van and it'll be a big mess. So what we've always used is this shower mixer here. And so one thing that you just notice kind of like immediately is like this whole part on the end here is solid brass. It's kind of incredible. In fact, it weighs like, I don't know, like a pound, I guess. It's significant. And then you'll also notice that it has this stainless steel braided hose on the back of it. And the reason that this matters is because if you still have water in here and you freeze this thing solid, which, people make mistakes, things happen. This solid brass part, in our experience, has never, ever failed. This is designed for marine applications. This is designed to be an exterior shower on a boat. It is durable as all can be. And we've had many occasions where people have frozen this solid and it's never failed. And I think the reason that it never fails is because of this braided steel hose that comes off of it. So, when it freezes, that water needs to expand somewhere. And because this steel hose has some give, there's somewhere for it to expand into. I mean, even in my van, I froze my van. I'm a little embarrassed about this, but I did. And I came back into my van one day after a long night, after a freezing night, and I didn't realize that my battery had died and my Webasto had shut off, and I hadn't been staying in the van. And anyway, I came into my van and I had a 4-inch icicle coming off of my kitchen faucet. But you know, you kind of learn, and it was a good test as well. Anyway, we've never, ever had one of these fail, and we've had vans that have, we had somebody who didn't even bother to even try to winterize their van. They lived in Chicago. It was fully pressurized, everything for the entire winter. Everything in the van. There were so many things that burst open. The water heater split open. This thing worked like a charm. Kept going the next day, like nothing happened. You know, those plastic ones that people tend to install, you know, they cost 40 bucks. This plus the, you know, the fittings to go with it is like 140. This is so much better. That's something you might not necessarily know. I don't know. Quality matters, I guess. All right, let's head back around front and we'll wrap this up. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up this tour. Feels like kind of a long one. I don't know. Feels like I've been shooting for a while. It's getting kind of late, but I want to take a moment to thank the people who commented on the last video we put up. In the end of that video, you know, I'd done a bunch of process stuff in that video, and I asked people to let me know if they wanted to see more process stuff, and it was like a resounding yes, which was so cool to see, because we have so much process stuff that we can share here. So I was really appreciated all those people making those comments. Please keep commenting. Please let us know, you know, what else you'd like to see. And I'm going to try and keep producing stuff that kind of shows a little bit more behind the scenes of, you know, how we do what we do, not just what we do. And then also why we do. Well, you get the idea. Anyway, I really appreciate it. Most of the people who watch these videos are never going to be Ready.Set.Van customers. That's just how it goes. But I would really like it if most of the people who watch these videos get something good from it. Either learn something, become inspired, you know, maybe it helps, you know, get closer to, you know, achieving some van life goal, something like that. So anyway, please keep commenting. Let me know what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. And yeah, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you're having a great day. Peace.